So welcome back to the channel, guys. It is me, AD744, and today, guys, we're doing our European World Cup qualifiers draw. So the draw will take place on December 13th, and we're going to be doing our draw for the qualifiers. We're going to be discussing about which nations we think we're going to qualify for the World Cup, and I have a special guest on the channel. His name is Matt, and he's like a European expert, so he's going to help me break down which nations I think will qualify. And it's going to be tough, man. It's going to be tough. So before we even get into that, let's look at the format itself. So as you can see right there, we have a group stage, 12 groups of 4 or 5 teams who play in a home and away matches against all the other teams in the group, and the group winners automatically qualify. And then the 16 teams, the 12 group runners up, and the 4 best Nations League group winners make it through to the playoffs. And then basically you have 4 paths, single playoff matches, semifinals, and a final. And then the 4 winners of those paths make the World Cup. So it's very similar to the old format, except the difference is that we have more groups than like we had in the old format, I believe. And I think the last one we had like 13 groups and I think 3 playoffs. So yeah. So I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. So Matt, man, how are you feeling? Do you like the way they did the format, or you still would have you don't really particularly like it? How do you feel before we even do this?
It's not much different. Well, at least the first round's not too much. Isn't really any different to its significance to before. So yeah, I'm fine with him. Totally used to it. In the second round, yeah, a bit more expansive than before, but I'm welcoming it. And how am I feeling about the qualifiers? I'm interested to see what happens, what the draw's like, and I'm also looking to go to at least half of the England home games, maybe all of them. And I'm interested to see who England get, even though I'm expecting them to finish first regardless.
Yeah, indeed. All right, now let's look at the tier list, man. Let's look at the tier list. We're going to go in alphabetical order. We have the tier set up. We have here qualify, maybe qualify, and then playoffs, and then maybe playoffs, and then 5. So 5 tiers. And I think it's pretty straightforward. Like I said, we have 55 nations to go through, so we're going to be very concise here. We're not going to go into detail here because we're going to be here all day, so we're going to give probably 30 seconds to a minute for each country, so making it around 30 minutes, I'd say, from that time frame. All right, so let's start with the first nation we got here. It is Albania. Albania's a tricky one. I'm going to say playoffs. I think they can maybe do it through the playoffs. Or how are you feeling, Matt, about Albania?
Well, they're a pot 3 team. They also finished bottom of their Nations League group, so they have to get top 2 to stand a chance. But we've seen them be competitive against some classical teams in the Euros, and then also I think of the pot 3 teams, they're also well equipped, so I think we are going to see them win quite comfortably in the easier games. So I will say I'm fairly confident that they're going to be one of the playoff teams, and playoffs middle tier, that sounds right, so I will go with that.
Yeah, and by the way, we're not going to rank it specifically in the tiers because that will take too much time, and at that time it's just finite details, so I think that's a bit unnecessary.
Yeah, just keep it in alphabetical order, and what matters is the tiers they're in themselves.
Yeah. Next up, it is Andorra. I don't think we need to have much discussion here. I think we can both agree they're going at 5s.
I mean, I will say they aren't like the worst of the minnow teams. There's like a bottom 3, and I don't think Andorra's there. And they're not gonna do anything in this qualifiers, but they're still good enough to beat San Marino home and away.
Yeah. Moving on, we have next is Armenia. Armenia, I'm going to say maybe playoffs.
They're in pot 4 at the moment, and in the Nations League, what do they do? Where are they? Second place in the Nations League. Yeah, I think maybe playoffs is about right. they'll do. I think they'll do okay, but this is not the Armenia team that we saw like 1 or 2 years ago.
Yeah. Moving on, we have next is Austria. Austria, for me, I think that they're one of the best teams. They were really good in the Euros. I was really impressed with them, and I think they're gonna. I think they can play in World Cup, which they haven't played in so long. So I'm gonna say playoffs.
I'm thinking higher. They're a Pot 1 team, so they're not going to get anybody harder than, say, Ukraine, Sweden, Turkey. You can maybe say Hungary or Czech Republic, but they've got a lot of quality. The fact that they are seen as like one of the higher end teams or teams made from the Nations that puts their playoffs chances in a good place. There aren't many teams in the lower pots that I can see really surpassing Austria, so I'm actually going to say they qualify.
Qualify automatically. Okay, I can see where you're coming from. I'm still thinking that because I'm still a bit unsure, so I'll put them maybe qualify. Can we negotiate maybe qualify?
That should be fine.
Because when we look at the qualify ones, I'm guaranteed, okay, there's no way they're gonna miss out. I can't put Austria in that tier yet. But
I suppose so. Maybe the away form does need some looking at. This is still good, but maybe there's some hope for some of the say the pot 2 teams or a couple of the pot 3 teams that might have a shout against Austria, but second tier is definitely fair.
Moving on, next is Azerbaijan. Azerbaijan, I think we can both agree they're going to vibes.
Yeah, I mean, I wondered about out of the 4th tier, but they didn't even do much against Estonia, so then there's not much to say about them.
Yeah, then Belarus, we're going to put them also in vibes as well.
Yeah, well, they do overachieve in the Nations League a bit, but I mean, the other aspect is Belarus are going to be facing a lot harder teams than they were in their Nations League group.
Yeah. Let's move to Belgium.
I'm thinking maybe qualify. I mean, the Nations League campaign was quite a disaster. Third's respectable without context, but even though they did lose to Israel and had some disappointing performances, they still, and even though Dominic Tedesco has been faulty with them, Belgium should still be winning their home games and win most of their away games. I don't think there's many teams that can pip Belgium in their group, but there's still some doubt about them, so I would still say maybe qualify.
Yeah, I would agree.
I'm more confident in Austria.
I feel like Dominic Tedesco, I'm not sure with his job security. I'm not sure if he's going to stay. There's been rumors that he may get sacked because he's losing. I heard a lot of the big players in the dressing room haven't been happy with him, like Courtois, and I think KDB as well. And if you're having your senior players be mad, then it doesn't look great. So I don't know. I just don't think.
And I've also seen rumors that Belgium can't really afford to sack him and pay the compensation. Oh, AD's frozen.
Yeah, sorry, my connection's poor.
Don't worry, you can always edit that out.
But yeah, so we were saying about Belgium. Sorry.
Just that oh yeah, I think you're frozen again. Oh, here you're back. But basically, just that Belgium are going to struggle to remove Tedesco because of the contract and the money it would take to remove him.
Potentially. All right, let's move to Bosnia. Bosnia, I'm gonna say
One of the lower categories.
I feel like on paper they should be maybe playoffs, but with the reality, I feel like they're fives. So I'm not sure where to put.
I'm gonna on the qualification itself, they should be very low down. But that being said, if all they were in League A, so they can get a Nations League playoff place. So I guess they're currently ranked 16th in the Nations League. So and we expect the top 8. You know what? I'll say maybe playoffs.
Yeah, I think I think maybe playoffs is about as generous as you can get.
Sure.
Yeah, and then okay, I'll give them maybe playoffs. I'll just be optimistic for them. Bulgaria, I'm gonna say vibes.
I don't think Bulgaria are as bad as these other teams, but then we also got to wonder about what's the group going to be like, and I don't think they're better than most of the teams in the top 3 pots, and also considering pot 4, yeah, they'll be low.
Do we put them maybe playoffs, or is that be too generous?
I was wondering about maybe playoffs. I mean, they finished second in their Nations League group, so that might go against them.
It's interesting. I'm not sure, man. I'm not really sure, to be honest with you. I'm gonna say vibes, but they won't be as bad as other countries here.
Oh no. Yeah. If there was another tier, they'd go in between.
Reluctantly. Next up is Croatia.
I'll
say maybe qualify.
I think they should probably qualify. But there's still maybe some doubt that they might falter. But I think they're in a stronger position than Belgium. Not as strong as Austria, but they should still qualify. And I'll say maybe qualify.
Yeah, maybe qualify. I think it's fair. Cyprus, we're gonna put them in vibes.
Yeah, nothing
I think as much
to say on
explanation
them.
to do there. Then Czech Republic. I'll say playoffs.
They won their Nations League group against some opponents around their level. They're going to be a pot 2 team, in fact. And I do think they could be one of the teams that would challenge these pot 1 teams that could be struggling a bit. So I think I would put them into maybe qualify.
Ooh. Maybe qualify is a good shout. Maybe qualify.
I'm looking at pot 2, and they look like one of the strongest teams there.
Yeah, you know what? Let's put them maybe qualify, actually. Denmark, I'm going to say... Maybe qualify?
I mean, they're probably about in the same boat as Czech Republic. They're a pot 1 team. They're not... They might be they're probably like the second weakest pot 1 team, but they still should be beating most of the teams that they draw in the qualifiers. So I'd say maybe qualify.
Yeah, maybe qualify. And then England, I mean, England's obviously qualify.
Yeah, qualify. Estonia. We'll say on England, we'll see Thomas Tuchel come in, and it'll be interesting to see what he does with these superstars. And England, should still qualify. Plus, there's the home record 2 in the qualifiers.
Yeah. All right, let's move to Estonia. Estonia, I think, is vibes.
Yeah, if we're putting Bulgaria in vibes, then Estonia goes in there too.
Yeah, and then Faroe Islands, we're going to also put in vibes too.
Yep.
All right, then Finland.
Finland are better than these teams in vibes, and they have sacked their manager, so they've got a fresh start. I don't know what to expect so much amongst other teams. They are in pot 3, so I think that they do have a fair chance. So I will, and if Czech Republic are in maybe qualify, it would seem fair to put Finland in a maybe playoff. So I'm thinking, when I'm weighing everything up, I think they go into maybe playoffs. There's some potential, but we can't be sure about it.
Yeah. And then France. France, I'm going to put in qualify.
Yep, they should be finishing ahead of every potential opponent.
Yeah. Then Georgia. Georgia.
I'd put them in playoffs.
Yeah, I agree. They look really promising, really potential.
Yeah.
Germany.
I think probably there are about 16 teams that will be stronger than Georgia. Germany, yep, definitely got to be in qualifying. They're certainly back and performing. Not much to say, but they should get there pretty comfortably.
Next up is Gibraltar. I think Gibraltar is vibes.
Gibraltar vibes.
All right, Greece. Greece, I'm going to say playoffs.
Yeah, I would say AE playoffs. They are currently a pot 2 team. So they have a small chance at automatic qualification, but it's surely going to be playoffs for them.
Yeah, next up is Hungary.
Not what they used to be. They finished 3rd in the Nations League, I think.
Yeah.
And even doing average in Euros qualifying, I think they should still get playoffs.
I think playoffs. Iceland, I'm going to say maybe playoffs.
Yeah, I think that'd be right.
Oh, sorry, I need to put that.
And I would say the same for I'd say the same for Republic of Ireland too.
Yeah. Israel, I'm gonna say maybe playoffs.
To be fair, Israel were in League A of the Nations League, and if 12 there are 13 teams above of them in the Nations League ranking, so I don't think they're going to do well in the qualifiers themselves, but the Nations League is a backup for them to get playoffs. So sure, playoffs is a fair place to put them.
All right, but remember, Matt, they won't play any of their games at home. Do you think that's going to affect them?
Well, I think they're used to that by now, because they were. That was the case when they played in the Euro qualifiers.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
I think they've finished 3rd or 4th in that as well.
Actually, you know what? Yeah, maybe playoffs are a bit harsh, so let's put the playoffs. Italy should be qualified.
I'd put them into maybe qualify.
Ooh, why maybe?
I don't think they're as obvious as England, France, Germany. They still have got to prove themselves in terms of the qualifying. I think
Yeah, that is true.
there are some pot 2 teams that could dismantle all them. I think Austria is also ahead of Italy Italy as well. They should still make it, but I don't think it's going to be straightforward for them.
Oh yeah, and also remember, Italy haven't qualified for the last 2 World Cups, so we also have to take that into consideration.
But that's why they've got something to prove.
Yeah, Kazakhstan, I'm gonna say maybe playoffs.
Without context, that might be a fair shout. Although it's worth noting that they finished bottom of their Nations League group, so they don't have that as like any kind of backup, and they're also in pot 4. So at best, there may be playoffs. They've got the quality to do it, but they're also.
Yeah.
I think vibes is harsh, but I also think maybe playoffs is too much for them. But I'd lean more to, but I'd lean more towards maybe playoffs. By definition, vibes isn't suited to Kazakhstan. But if you look on the fact that they're in pot 4 and potentially will have a hard group, there is definitely an argument to put them down there.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Let's give them the benefit of the doubt. We'll put them in maybe playoffs, but it's just about like very like we're giving the benefit of the doubt. But yeah, you're right, Matt. So we're probably being too optimistic. But yeah, I don't think they're as bad as those 5 nations, which is why I didn't really want to put them there. So yeah, moving on to Kosovo.
I would say they're in the same situation as Kazakhstan. They are a bit weaker, although they are slightly higher in. They did do a bit better in the Nations League.
I mean, to be fair, they were league.
I'm not expecting either side to really do it, but they're not like the worst of the European nations.
Oh yeah, of course not. All right. Moving on to Latvia.
I think Latvia. They're another pot 4 team. They're better than. I'd say that they are better than, maybe apart from Bulgaria, that they are better than the majority of those teams. But they could be in vibes on. I can't tell if you're frozen or not. Yeah, you're blinking.
No, I'm not frozen.
Yeah, basically, by quality, I don't think Latvia's a vibes team, but similar to Kazakhstan, they are also likely going to be in too strong of a group.
We'll put them maybe playoffs then, I guess. Liechtenstein, I think that's obvious. They're definitely vibes.
Yeah.
Okay, and then Lithuania.
Yeah, that they can go at the bottom as well.
Is that a bit harsh for Lithuania?
I mean, they did finish lower than Cyprus in the Nations League, and they're also the bottom-ranked team in pot 4.
Yeah, but yeah, I guess that's true. But I guess I'm remembering what they did in the Euro qualifiers when they beat Wales away 4-2. So I guess I'll put them vibes reluctantly. Luxembourg. Luxembourg maybe playoffs.
They struggled against teams their level. They were like one of the favourites to be promoted to League B, and they ended up getting. Wait, did they?
Yeah, then the
Yeah, I know
relegation playoffs.
Okay, but still, they finished lower than was expected, and then also translate that to the European qualifiers. They're in pot 4, and are there really any other teams that they could really get above? They're not getting ahead of the pot 1 teams. I don't think they're getting ahead of the pot 2 teams, and most of the pot 3 teams are better than them as well. But then you could also say that Luxembourg are about the same as where Kazakhstan, Kosovo, and Latvia are.
Yeah, I feel like putting them vibes is a bit harsh.
Okay.
But even maybe playoffs is a bit generous, so I think we'll put them maybe playoffs. All right. North Macedonia, I think we'll put them in maybe.
Yeah, maybe playoffs seems right.
Yeah.
They're in pot 3. They could contest some of the teams in pot 2, so yeah, no complaints there.
Malta, I think is vibes.
Yeah.
And then Moldova, we'll put them maybe playoffs, right?
Moldova are easily the best team in pot 5, but it's still pot 5, and they are going to be and they might beat some teams in pot. They might get a win in at home. They might get 2 wins. But quality, they could be a maybe playoffs team, but by the seedings, then probably vibes.
This is a tough match. I'm not sure.
Although that being said, they did. I don't know if this is going to be factored, but I don't know if winning a Nations League D will count in their favor.
Oh yeah, remember Matt? Remember I said 4 best nations that didn't finish top 2, go through the playoffs. So maybe they have that. So let's put them maybe playoffs since they won their Nations League group, right?
Yeah, that's.
Yeah. Okay.
Barely.
Montenegro.
Okay. Montenegro. They would be maybe playoffs.
They do have some quality. They do have some.
Yeah, and they're still in pot 3. They could maybe provide an upset against one of the pot 2 teams. It's doubtful, but they could maybe do it.
Yeah, Netherlands. I think Netherlands is qualified. Or maybe qualify.
I'm not sure Netherlands are like they wouldn't get too high up in the top 10, but it's also whether are there any teams that could like stop them qualifying. I could maybe go with qualifying on this.
Yeah, let's go. I think we should go qualify. Oh, sorry. What am I doing? There we go. Austria. There we go. Okay. Moving on, we have Northern Ireland. I feel like they're
yeah, maybe playoffs. To be fair, they did win their League A. They're a League C path, so that might help them. And then also, they are in pot 3, so they would still have a shot at getting second place.
All right, now we got Norway, man. Norway. I'll put them playoffs.
No, Norway. Their home form has been very good in the Nations League. I would expect them to finish ahead of most of the teams in pot 3. I don't think they've got enough to qualify directly. Although I'm wondering if they had to play Scotland, Slovenia, Republic of Ireland, Albania. might be about it. You could say Georgia, but they beat Georgia both times. But certainly Scotland, Slovenia, Republic of Ireland, Albania. Would Norway get second ahead of them?
Yeah, I think because I've heard people say the Norway manager isn't good. I think it's Balkan. I think is the name. If I remember correctly. And at the end of the day, I know they topped their Nations League group, and I know Holland was great, but at the end of the day, it's still the Nations League. So, World Cup qualifier.
I don't expect them to qualify, but I'm wondering, I'm not even 100% certain that playoffs is a safe bet.
The thing is,
I guess I'd lean towards some. I mean, if they played Albania, I'd probably back Albania, but then again, I'd probably also say more chances than not Norway will have enough to get second. Oh, and the other thing is they top their Nations League group, so even if they don't finish top 3, the playoffs itself might help them. I think of all the teams that are not so likely to finish top, then that would make probably Norway might be about. They might have the 4th best chance of being in a Nations League path. So thinking about it more, I think I would say I am more sure of the playoffs.
Yeah, I think they're guaranteed at least playoffs. Qualify, I can't say qualify yet because I feel like we haven't really seen them prove it in a major qualifier stage, and as well as the fact that Norway, I feel like as good as they are, I think their defense is a bit shaky. So that's another reason why I don't think they're as well rounded as the other playoff the maybe qualifying nations. So which is why I'm not going to put them there. So yeah.
And also, if Israel's in the playoffs, then Norway has to be in the playoffs as well.
Yeah. All right, moving on. Next we have here, it is, let me just rearrange this so I messed with the alphabetical order. Poland. I'm going to say...
I'll say playoffs.
Ooh.
Although, I am wondering... they could have a chance against Switzerland, Belgium, maybe Denmark. There's maybe even considering maybe qualify. Plus, Poland are in a pot 2. They are in pot 2. They will likely get in. They could get to the playoffs. They'll likely get in the playoffs if they don't get top 2 for Nations League reasons. So I think I would say either second or third. Although the fact that they did lose right at the end to Scotland is a bit worrying.
But remember, Matt, one of the key players was Szczesny retired. Do you think that's a factor or not really?
Not much. I don't think. I think it'll only be more critical in the key games. And plus, there was also a time when Poland were distributing some goalkeepers. They were like USA and Finland in aspect, where they had depth in goalkeepers and not much else.
You still have Robert Lewandowski, man. One of the best strikers right now in the world. So
yeah.
I think we should put them I think we should put them maybe qualify, or actually, let's put them maybe qualify.
I think there's a small shout for them
because they're good defensively. Defensively, don't concede much, and their offense is pretty good. So
plus they have had experience of winning in playoffs, and they'll certainly be in contention if they are in the playoffs. So maybe qualify is good enough.
All right, next up is Portugal. I mean, I don't think we need to explain.
Even if they drop down to the playoffs, they're going to be more than good enough.
Yeah. We're going to see CR7, guys. We're going to see CR7. Anyways, moving on. We got Romania.
I'll say playoffs. Maybe there's 3 teams in pot 3 that can get past them, but
Yeah.
As well as that, but also they topped their Nations League, so I don't know how much that will factor in. But I think Romania should have enough to get playoffs.
Yeah, I can't put them maybe qualify because I don't think the team is as well rounded as those other nations, and I feel like their attacks a bit.
I don't think they're there yet.
I think their attack's a bit underwhelming. The defense is great though. The defense is great. The Russia, we're not going to obviously include them because they're banned. The San Marino. Okay, the Mats. Okay, San Marino. The Mats. Can we put them maybe playoffs? They did top their nations group. Or am I going too crazy?
No, that's too much. Plus, there's going to be like other Nations League winners that are going to get more of a priority than them. And Moldova, I think Moldova might have picked up the most points anyway, so Moldova will be ahead of San Marino.
Yeah, but yeah, San Marino, man, if they can make the playoffs, that'll be history in the making. Because I don't think they ever made the playoffs. Moving on to Scotland.
I would probably say playoffs.
I think Scotland, for me, my issue with Scotland is just, I don't know, I feel like they rely too much on McTominay. That's my big issue with them. So, that's why I can't really put them maybe qualify. Then Serbia.
I would say playoffs. Although they are in pot 2, to be fair. But I think as far as their chances for first place, they would be relying a lot on a reliable draw. So, and even then, I wouldn't be that certain about Serbia topping. So, I would say playoffs.
And also, I feel like, I don't know if you agree with me, also, Matt, I think Serbia have kind of got worse compared to like 2018, 2022. I think they've kind of regressed.
Yeah, although they were showing some signs against Spain and Denmark in the Nations League.
Yeah. So, I mean, we'll see, man. We'll see. It's a bit of a tough one. I do agree with you. I think the draw has to be in their favor for them to like qualify. I just, and that's kind of like luck, Moving on, it is Slovenia. Wait, sorry, that's
Slovakia.
Yeah,
playoffs. Then I don't think they're going to do much in the playoffs.
Yeah, they're a very stubborn team. They're very difficult to break down. But my problem with Slovakia is that I feel like at times it can be very good, and then at times they can be underwhelming because this is a team that can drop the razor level against like England, for an example. But then this is the same team that could also lose to. I think they did really bad in the Nations League a few years ago, and they were losing to nations they shouldn't be. I forgot the names off the top of my head, but it's a weird one. They're not consistent.
Azerbaijan.
Azerbaijan.
That was one of the teams.
So I mean, do you agree with me, Matt? Like they could raise their level and then they could drop their level depending on the opponent.
Perhaps they certainly weren't as effective against the lower teams as Sweden were in the Nations League. And I don't know if this is still a thing, but if you go by the Euros, then Slovakia were like first half FC. Well, not FC, but first half nation.
Yeah. And then Slovenia. Now, I actually rate Slovenia higher than Slovakia.
Yeah, I think they're one of the strongest teams in League C. I definitely think they will be competitive against like most of the league of the pot 2 teams. So I don't think they'll do much in the playoffs themselves, but I think they will get to them.
My thing with Slovenia, my only issue with them is I feel like they draw too much. They do draw too much, which may hurt their chances. So,
they'll likely be winning against pot 4 and pot 5 teams if they do get into group of 5s.
Yeah, potentially. Spain, I don't even think we don't even need to discuss it. They're obviously qualifying.
Top tier.
Yeah, although it'd be really funny though, Matt. The Euro champions don't automatically. I mean, we've seen this before, so but But still,
And
Spain.
no, wait. I was about to say Portugal as well, but then I remembered that they managed to top Switzerland by goal difference.
But you could say Italy. The
Yeah,
they're
Italy.
2020. Yeah, and I believe Greece as well.
Also, Greece.
Yeah, Greece. All right, moving on to Sweden. Now, Sweden.
They're ranked as one of the strongest pot 2 teams. They also won their Nations League group.
Yeah. So they're going to be playoffs, at least playoffs.
I think they'll be one of the stronger teams in the playoffs. So I will say, even if they are to finish that low, I'm actually thinking of saying maybe qualify.
That's a good point, Matt. That's a good point. See, my thing is that I'm kind of torn here because I feel like on paper they should be maybe qualify. But at the same time, though, Sweden have been underwhelming for a long time now. So, but they do have a new coach. He's way better than Dan Anderson. So, Sweden seem like all rounded though, because I still have question marks about their defense. I still don't think Lindelof is that great, and I still think the defense is a bit shaky there. So,
I mean, they should be comfortable against the teams they should be beating. And then I think also I would have them above all the teams in the playoff category. Yeah, I'm gonna say they'll get into maybe qualify.
Okay, you know what? I'll put them maybe qualify because they do have a lot of football pedigree. They have a lot of history. So, yeah.
I'd say they've got a good chance against Croatia, Denmark, Belgium, Switzerland.
Yeah. Next up is Switzerland. Now this is an interesting one.
They should be in one of the top 2. No, not the. They should certainly be. I'll say what. Even though they're not in a great place right now, I would say maybe qualify. There's some teams in pot 2 and maybe pot 3 that will give them a good run for their money, but being pot 1 helps. I think the fact that they were in League A of the Nations League might also help them if they don't finish first place. And they've still got some good players. So I definitely can't put them in the first tier, but I think they should be enough to be and stay in the second tier.
All right, Turkey. I'm going to put playoffs. They're very inconsistent. They're at times very good, at times very bad. And it feels like when there's an expectation on them, they flop. And when there's no expectation, they do well. It really does feel like that.
They've got the capability to maybe qualify, but you mentioned that the inconsistencies are a good point. I'd still say they're going to be better than the other teams in that tier, but playoffs seems like a good one for them.
Yeah, I can't put them maybe qualify because they're not that consistent. So I think that's a bit generous. But playoffs is like they're probably one of the stronger playoffs ones. Ukraine. I don't know.
I'd put them into maybe qualify. They're probably in a similar situation. Yeah, I'd say that they're probably about the same situation as Sweden, maybe similar to Ukraine, to Switzerland. Sorry, and if they are in the playoffs, then they're going to be one of the stronger teams. So because the key word is in that second tier is maybe qualify. Because maybe is the key word. I would put them into maybe qualify.
My issue with Ukraine, though, Matt, is that they're just not. They have so much so much talent on paper. They have so much potential. I think potential is what I was trying to say earlier. They oftentimes, underperform, underwhelm. So I understand what you're saying, Matt. Like I think if you're going by potential wise, they're maybe qualified. It's just that they're not consistent enough. like at times they could look great, and then times they could look bad. So I don't know with Ukraine. Ukraine's a weird one because I don't know.
They are also the highest ranked team in pot 2.
I feel like I don't
And
know,
that's by 2 spots as well.
I don't know. I'm torn here, Matt. I'm torn between playoffs or maybe qualify. So you're gonna have to like you're gonna have to like convince me because I'm thinking about putting playoffs for me personally.
Because I think they're gonna give the best fights to a lot of these teams. Maybe joint best along with like Sweden and maybe Turkey could be said there as well. And against Switzerland, Belgium, Denmark, Croatia, I could say Italy as well. I think they'll be competitive against them, and and those 5 teams, I think Ukraine could beat them.
You're right, Matt.
And then you look at the teams in the other pots; they should be finishing at least top 2 ahead of them as well. And I was looking at who could potentially be in these playoffs, and Ukraine have generally been one of the strongest teams, so that's why I've got them into maybe qualify.
And Matt, you make a good point. Ukraine show up against the big nations. Can I really make any guarantees those nations will show up? I can't really say for certain. So you know what? Actually, you know what? Now that you tell me that, I'm gonna put them maybe qualify, but just about. I'll put I'll put them right here. The final nation we got here is Wales. Wales for me, I'm gonna say playoffs for me personally.
Yeah, I think that's the right place for them. Even though the Welsh Alexi Lalas may take issue with that, I think that's where Wales are. They're still on the rise to their low point, so they're still in a transition. They should still be beating about half the competition, but I don't see much potential for them in the playoffs themselves, and don't really see much hope of getting first in their group either.
Yeah, and also if you remember, guys, Wales don't have Gareth Bale, and Gareth Bale was that clutch factor. He was indecisive in those playoff matches, so that's why I don't really see. For me, I don't think there's any Welsh players like clutch for them right now. There's no one that's Bale's level, obviously. So yeah, I mean, Matt, do you think what I'm saying is fair?
Yes.
Yeah. So, anyways, those are our tier list. It's going to be very interesting. Of course, we'll be doing the draw. I'll do the draw reaction probably when I get back home from work, and maybe I'll do early predictions, and see how it ages. And man, like I said, guys, it's going to be very interesting. I'm looking forward to this, and obviously check out Matt's channel. Matt's, man, tell the people where they can find you, man.
Yeah, you can find me at the Matt's channel, where I cover various football culture and travel related topics. You can also find me one of my new channels as well, an English View on Porto, where I cover content around FC Porto, and I'm on Twitter at MatsAttack9 and Mats Bristol on Instagram.
Yeah, so you guys can find them there. So anyways, hope you guys did enjoy this one. This was like around 15 minutes. Dang, this was a lot longer than I anticipated. So if you made it all the way to the end of this video, guys, comment below #80Army, so I know who the real ones are out there. And obviously, actually comment #80Army and #MatsArmy as well, since we both did this together. So, and obviously subscribe to Matt's channel. Obviously subscribe to my channel as well. Like this video if you did enjoy. And yeah, I'll see you guys later, man. Peace out.